Morning. We're already on day 4 in our journey where we're looking at the concept of the obedience of faith, or the obedience that manifests or proves our authentic trust in God. We're still in 2 Kings. We've been there for 2 days previous. This will be our third day in 2 Kings. So let's start right in chapter 5. And once again, it's a really incredible, interesting story. It starts out 2 Kings chapter 5. Now Naaman was commander of the army of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master, highly respected because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but then it pauses, but. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. There's the spoiler. So here's this guy. His king adores him. He's a tremendous commander of the military. The hand of God even appeared to be on him. You know, what he does is successful, but the guy's got leprosy. Kind of takes the joy out of things. Well, he and his wife had an Israelite servant girl that they had acquired. And she tells Naaman, she says, if you go to Israel, there's this prophet there. This guy can heal you of your leprosy. And this is where the story gets interesting. So I'm going to pick up reading. And I better get my glasses on here, not trust my eyes. I'm going to pick up reading in verse 6. So the king sends a letter to the king of Israel because he wants to send Naaman to Israel to get cured. So verse 6, the letter that he took to the king of Israel read, with this letter, I'm sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy. Can you imagine getting a letter like this? Well, the king's reaction, verse 7, as soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he's trying to pick a quarrel with me. Verse 8, though, it all changes. When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message. Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed. Verse 11, but Naaman went away angry, and he said, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot, and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Arbana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than any of the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? So he turned and he went off in a rage. Now the story thankfully doesn't end there. Naaman's servant pulls him aside and says, come on, man. He says, it's a small thing. You've come all this way. Why not give it a try? What do you have to lose? So sure enough, Naaman listens to his servant. And in verse 14 and 15, we'll pick up. So he went down and he dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored, and it became clean like that of a young boy. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and he said, now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. Please accept now a gift from your servant. The prophet answered, this is Elijah answering, as surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing. And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. So here we have, and if you read on, it's really kind of beautiful. Naaman becomes a true convert, a real loyal follower to the God of Israel. But notice how something that was simple, but once again, it was humbling. Do you see a pattern here where God often asks us to do something that's rather embarrassing, rather humbling, before His power is released in our life? If we trust Him, we'll do the humbling thing. Now I'm going to ask you once again, what might be your dipping yourself 7 times in the Jordan River that God's asking you? What might there be that God is asking you to take some action that's going to be a little embarrassing, a little humbling? but it might just be what's going to open the floodgates of God's blessing to you. Dip yourself in the Jordan. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain.